Hello and welcome to So Fantastic with Tiwa Avanti, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make a tulip skirt. This video was requested by a subscriber. She's a new subscriber. Okay, thank you for requesting this video, for dropping your comments, and also for subscribing. And that's why I made this video very detailed and easy to understand so that you'll be able to follow the steps as I go. And I also drafted a fresh skirt pattern for myself from scratch, in case you don't have one or you don't know how to draft one, so that you can have that to use for your future project. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this one and I hope that you learned something from it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your post notification bell, and also drop your comments, whatever style or anything that you want us, if there's a style that you want us to break down or analyze together, or there's a video that you want me to make, there's a tutorial that you want me to make, I will be glad to read your comments, your suggestions, and also your request. So thank you so much. Thank you again for your time, and all right, let's get right into the tutorial. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is to measure the length of my skirt, and for this pattern I'm using my waist to knee measurement, which is 61 cm, and that's about 24 inches. So I'm going to take that down from the borderline I already drew up there, marked up there. So I'm going to measure 61 cm down. In order for me to have a straight line, I'm going to mark 61 cm down across the whole length of the paper. After which I'm going to connect all the points with a straight line. Okay, so I'm going to label that part of my paper from the reference point 1, and then down to my skirt length will be 2. And note that you can extend the length however you want, as long as you want, depending on the length of the skirt that you want. Then the next thing to do is to mark your hip measurement divided by 2 across the paper. So my hip measurement is 99 cm, which is about 39 inches. So I'm going to divide 99 by 2, and that is what I'm going to take from point 1 across my paper, and I'm going to label that 3. So 99 divided by 2 is about 49.5 cm. And also remember to take this measurement down at different points on your paper so that you have a perfectly straight line. You take it all the way to the hem, or the length of your skirt, and then you connect. Just connect down to the hem with a straight line. Okay, so now this line you just took, or that you just marked, you're going to also divide into 2. So that will be a quarter of your hip. So mine is 49.5, and 49.5 divided by 2 will give me 24.75. Take this measurement down, mark it at different points down to the hem, and connect with a straight line. The right side of your paper is your center front, and the left is your center back. From point 1 across is 3, label that 3, and then from 3 down you label 4. And also the middle line is going to be your side front and the side back, so just label accordingly. The next thing to do is to measure your waist to hip measurement from point 1, or measure your hip divided by 4 minus 2, so in case you did not measure your client. Okay, so mark all the way like we've been doing, mark down and then rule. So now you've created your skirt pattern, and what you need to do now is to take your waist to hip reduction, because the skirt at this point is going to have no shape, And to do this, we'll need to do some calculations, and I'll try to display my calculations on the screen. The first thing you need to calculate is your hip measurement divided by 2 and your waist measurement divided by 2. Then you subtract what you get from your hip measurement. After I did my subtraction, I got 15. That means that my total waist reduction is 15 cm. So, and that is what I'm going to share for my dart. So now that I have my total waist reduction figured out, I now need to determine what to take at the center, front and the back, and also at the sides of my pattern in order to shape the pattern properly. Okay, so this is, but one thing you should remember when you want to determine how to shape your pattern is that you should take more for your front and back dart than you take for your sides. You should make sure that your what you take for your dart at the front and the back is more than what you take at the sides. And I am going to display on screen how I shared my own dart so that you understand better. So the next thing to do is to raise the middle line up by 1.5 cm, just like I have done on the screen. Remember that this is the side of your skirt, so then you divide the figure that you want to use for your side dart into 2 and measure it on the side of that line, and then you connect back to your hip line with a curve on both sides. Also, go up by 1 cm from point 1 at your center back. Remember, this is on your center back, so go up by 1 cm and then connect the 1 cm to the 1.5 cm to the 3.5 cm that you marked earlier. And at the front, you connect from the center front straight to the 3.5 cm that you marked for your side front. Then, to determine the location of your front and back dart, you just take your bust point to bust point measurement, divide that by 2. Mine is 20 cm, so after dividing I have 10 cm or 4 inches. So I'm going to mark that in from on my center front and also the center back, so that will be where my dart will be located. And for the length of my dart, I am using, you can use 13 to 15 cm or just 7 inches, that's fine. So after getting your dart location, you already know what you want to mark for your dart, so you just divide that figure into 2 and mark it on the side, on both sides of your dart line. What you take for on all the dart lines should add up to your waist reduction. That way you will know that you've divided your dart properly and correctly. Okay, so the basic skirt pattern is complete, and you should know that this is just a straight skirt block, so you can pencil it if you want by taking it in at the sides. Okay, so to draft your tulip skirt, what you need to do is to trace your pattern on fresh paper, but you're going to need to trace the front pattern on fold because we need a full front. Okay, so after you've traced your pattern and you've defined your lines, what you should do next is to take a line straight down the middle of the skirt pattern, and this will be your center line. So you mark the point where you want the tulip slit to start from. Basically, you mark your waist to slit measurement. 14 to 15 cm is fine, but you can go lower or higher depending on how exposed or covered you want the skirt to be. So here I marked 14 inches and I ruled across my pattern paper. Okay, so the next thing to do is to measure your dart on any side of the skirt that you want, be it the left or the right side of the skirt. So depending on where you want the opening to be, so you measure from your first dart leg. Mine was 5 inches, and then you can add like 1 or 2 inches to that measurement, but I added 1, and which gives me 6. So then I measured the 6 inches on the slit measurement that I had taken earlier, the waist to slit measurement. So the next thing to do is just to curve from your hip line down to the 6 cm mark, and then you blend into your center line. You can use your curved ruler or you use freehand, but I use freehand because that works for me better. Okay, remember that we took 6 inches we marked 6 inches on the waist to slit measurement. So now you go down to the hem and remove like an inch from the 6 cm. So I marked 5 inches at the hem. And okay, so now from the other hip line, I took a line down, making sure that it crossed the 6 cm, the 6 inches that I marked earlier, and then I took that line down to the 5 cm that I marked at the hem line. Okay, so also for this you can use the curved ruler, but I just like to use freehand. And if you feel like the cross on your waist to slit line is too wide, you can redraw your line so that you have more coverage. It depends on what you're trying to create or recreate. Okay, so because I don't want to sew any darts at the front of the skirt, I cut away the darts at the side. I did this simply by marking my darts on both sides of my skirt and then connecting to the hip line. So next, you place fresh paper under your skirt pattern, making sure that everything is aligned properly, and then you trace out one part of the skirt on this paper. Okay, so before I trace it out, let me sharply redefine the lines so that you see what I am doing clearly. It doesn't matter which side you decide to trace out, just trace out one part and on fresh paper, or you can label it so you know which is which. It's up to you, and it's fine whatever you do. Okay, so now that I have one part traced out, then you can now cut the other side, cut the other side out with your scissors. So after cutting, you set that apart, and then you cut out the side that you traced on fresh paper. Did you find your peace of mind? Okay, so now that we have both sides of our paper cut out, let's put them together and see what it's looking like. Okay, so this is the result. This is what your pattern should be looking like right now too, if you've been following the steps so far. Just in case you, after cutting out, you don't like what it looks like, or your slit is looking too open, you can add more paper under the side of the skirt that you want to cover up and redraw your line. And if you want it to open up more, just make the cut deeper, or you make the curve deeper. So that's how to draft a tulip skirt pattern. Okay, so I just quickly want to show you how to shape your pattern in case you're drafting a petal shaped tulip skirt, another type that I just drafted. I'm just going to do this on a small piece of pattern paper so that you see. Okay, so let's assume that this line I just marked is our hip line. Let's just assume our hip line is somewhere here. So instead of measuring in and out and all of that, so all you just need to do is to eyeball it, just curve from the hip line to the side you want the cross to be. Note that the curve coming from your waistline should not end at the side front, because that makes the side seam look kind of sharp, and it doesn't sit well on the body, and it hangs away from your body. So just end the curve somewhere like 2 to 3 inches away from the side front, so that you have room to sew by the time you sew the front to the back, then it just looks right, everything just looks okay. So then you do the same thing at the other side. Okay, but the cross I just marked, it stopped at the middle. The cross is going to land somewhere around the middle of your pattern. So but if you don't want that, if you want it on the side like the one we did earlier, okay, so you just use your middle dot line as a guide, and you try to shape your tulip towards that side, so that the cross is on the side of your leg and not at the middle. So I just try to shape that on paper, and I hope that you understand what I'm trying to do, what I did. And then you just, so like we did earlier, you just trace one side out and you cut the other side. Alright, we have come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, and if you stayed on for this long, why not just hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos that I have on the way. Alright, thank you so much again for your time. It's always nice to have you here, and I'll see you in the next one.